Good morning, everybody. What a gorgeous day it is outside, right? Hardly. But inside, it's wonderful. Lights shining, people that are bright and enthused about being here. Some of you already yawning, getting ready for a long winter nap, I can tell already. We're talking about decisive times. Each week, seriously, I have to sit down and think about where we're headed in our studies and what to do next. I think about what's coming up, and the fact is, right now we're on the verge of not only a holiday season, but a new year. Most likely, all of us will cross over. Maybe not everybody. Only the Lord knows about those. But I certainly can say, above all, this is decisive times for every one of us. I read something a few years ago, and I want to share with you this. It says, there is a theory which states that if ever anybody discovers exactly what the universe is for and why it is here, it will instantly disappear and then be replaced by something even more bizarre and inexplicable. There's also another theory which states that has already happened. In the 1960s, my youthful generation growing up, sometimes called the hippie generation, some people explored the dimensions of reality by taking LSD. I did not. They did that to make the world look weird. Today, the world is weird, and they take Prozac to make it look normal. Whatever way you look at it, we are in decisive times. Health, careers, life, emotions, anything you can think of is coming at us. And you know, as you look into your life, and I know from my viewpoint looking out, that a good majority of you are in the midst of decisive times, one way or another. And we all face that, whether or not we're stopping to think about it, because we're on the verge of a new year. Even if you say we're on the verge of a new week, beginning today, it's a new week, yes. But we live in a fearful time in our society. Security screening to get on an airplane. Security screening just to walk into the downtown courthouse in Chattanooga. Security screening to get into some of our schools in our nations here. Entertainment areas. Sports arenas. And all of that spells out to us we are living in a very insecure time if there's so much concern. I went down to the Chattanooga train station yesterday, the one where you can take the little train rides with some little friend who was visiting our house. It was a little disconcerting that I watched a guy walking by not only packing a weapon, which I kind of expected a security person to do, but on the back side of his jacket, very boldly painted, said Bomb Squad on it. He wasn't running, so I was okay. Had he been running, I would have wanted to know which way to go. But it tells you we live in very insecure times in so many different ways. And I'm serious about this because what it is doing to us as Christians is important. Because as we would like to live a strong and powerful Christian life, as we would like to make an impact in this area, and I think this church wants to, and I think you as an individual are interested in actually taking part in doing that and having an involvement and a connection in that. The fact is, Satan's out there. And he's trying to thwart, deceive, confuse, disarm, or at least diminish your impact. Your impact in your family, your impact as this church. He'll do all that he can to cause us, if possible, to sit back and think, I can't do anything. because it's not the right moment for me. I'm in the middle of a crisis or a problem or a struggle or an issue. And so I'm going to wait and think about it. And we don't need to do that. Decisive times. Number one, God has not left you. We are not abandoned by our Creator. And I've talked about that a few weeks ago. But I come back to revisit that again today, just for us to think about what we are doing as we think about looking ahead. Isaiah chapter 40, verse 27. To let us know that this feeling of abandonment is not something that is uncommon among God's people. So Isaiah the prophet, looking out across Israel, sees their manner of speaking, their emotions, their struggles, and their feelings. And he says, why do you say, O Jacob? Now he says Jacob as in the people of Israel. Or why do you speak, O Israel, that my way is hidden from the Lord, or my just claim is overlooked? Like God's not paying attention anymore. He's gone about taking care of important business, is what a lot of people think. I'm so insignificant that I don't really merit God paying attention and helping me. I don't want to say baloney because we aren't baloney. But there's a false sense of insecurity if we think that, because God very much is paying attention to not only where you're at this morning by you being in church, but the struggles that are on your heart and the issues that you deal with, whether you're young or old, whatever your insecurities are. He knows you're at a decisive point. He wants His church to be victorious. He wants you to live a life that's powerful and strong. And I don't preach that as some kind of, fairy tale existence, but I tell it with all sincerity of heart for us to make sure we know that we stand victorious as Christians, even in the midst of the troubles that we deal with. But it's common. It's common for God's people because you're being impacted by Satan's troubling you just like they were back then. And he's out to try to defeat us. Your situation is not overlooked by your God. Neither was Jacob's or Israel's. So don't think that. It is a common thing. Job chapter 1, it's interesting, that first section. Likely you've read that. I'm not going to take the time to go back, but look at verses 13 and following down to the end of that section there. And see what's going on in Job's life. Because as one servant comes in and says, Job, they came in and these robbers stole and all this and killed all the servants. Before he gets through telling his story, another servant comes in. Well, this one's come in and they've taken all the sheep and done all this. And then another servant comes in before he finishes. Well, that's worse than that. And it just keeps adding one thing after another. And when you look at the story of Job, there's a very important part that rings out to every one of us. By reading this story, your cause is not overlooked, in spite of the fact it looks like God's walked away from you, because certainly Job felt like that. Where is God when all these things are happening? When I'm dealing with this? How can I even think about moving forward when all these bad things are happening? Or when I'm troubled in dealing with the crisis that's ahead of me? But it's coming. But God's there. Your particular story may not be overlooked. Exodus chapter 2. We're looking at the story of Moses there as it's unfolding. And Moses thought, at age 40 now, as he grew up in Pharaoh's household, that this was going to be an opportunity, bear with me here, that he was going to help God's people. And you read the early part of Moses, and you see that. We'll just pause right here because I know we're having a little issue down in front here. We've got